This is crazy. It's like 11:30 p.m. your time.
It is, yeah. And it's very strange because it's like the first time we've done like an intro via
Not in person.
Riverside, right?
Yeah,
Like
we're not in person, and you're in your hospital bed.
I know. Coming to you live from Mass General. Here I am.
Floor 10.
Floor 10. 3 days of chemo behind me.
You're done with chemo.
Pretty good. Yeah, I know. Hopefully forever.
Yeah. Hopefully
that
forever.
Would be ideal.
I just found this in my pocket, which is...
Oh, just a little treat for...
Just a little treat. I think I was about to eat it, and then we were FaceTiming, and we're like, wait, we should record. So I put my little Swedish candy in my pocket.
Erica did a little taste test for me of all the new things that are at Soccer Bit that I haven't been able to try since I'm not there.
Yep.
And most of them were okay. One of them was really good.
And some of them are really bad.
Yeah, some of them were bad. So Erica, how have you been feeling?
Yeah,
hold on. Hank just sneezed, so let me ask you that question again.
I heard that.
Erica, how have you been feeling since you left Boston?
It's a really weird feeling to hear Ramsey's in the kitchen, like closing cabinets. So
I can't hear anything.
Okay.
It's fine. I'm also like in a hospital, which is extremely noisy. So
yeah, that's true. Hey, Ramsey, just be a little more quiet when you close the cabinets. Just be careful when you close cabinets. Thank you. Okay. It's a very weird feeling to be living life and doing things when you are hospitalized.
Yeah, I understand that feeling.
It just like pops into my mind all day long of like, Jordy's in a hospital bed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a weird thing, especially because like typically this is something that would be done outpatient. So like I would come in and like be hooked up for 6 hours and then I would go home and like sleep in my bed and like live the rest of my day.
I know. When I had the thought that you wouldn't be having fresh air for 14 days, like it makes me feel mad.
I know. Like I can't like leave.
And like, but you could leave.
Like I could, but like I'm literally admitted to the hospital. I know. So like I can't just like.
Why don't they have patios?
I don't know. Maybe they do. I haven't asked.
I'm going to like protest. Yeah, you should ask. And if not, I'm going to like write a petition that the new building has patios.
We can literally see the new building being built from our window.
Do you see patios being built?
It's just like the frame, the steel frame right now. But it's actually really cute. They have the nurses have some of the workers over there write notes to the patients.
Wow.
On the building.
What?
So like one of them says like, "We love you, Jimmy."
Wow.
And like, "Stay strong." Yeah, it was like very cute. So that like you can see it from the window.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have any notes?
Sweet. I mean, like, no. I've been here for these are people who have been there like for a while.
Oh.
Some people on the floor are here for like a few months.
And they get notes.
Yeah.
And they can't get any fresh air. It's like a disgrace.
I don't know. I haven't really talked to any of the other patients.
You should like create a mass floor petition. Protest. We must get outside. We must get outside. I can lead it.
I appreciate you, Erica. You're always there to support me.
Yeah, I just like fuck.
I know. It's okay though. I read some Bridgerton book today, so that was, enjoyable. And then
you also told me how to fill in my eyebrows.
Oh yeah, like there's a new TikTok trend and it shows you like where your like what your eyebrows should look like.
Right.
And then it maps out where your current eyebrows are and shows you where your eyebrows should actually be. But Erica, yours were pretty like on point, actually.
I honestly did not understand what the filter was telling me to do.
Has anybody used it? And please let us know if
we will poll you on
kept
Instagram.
Up with it. We will poll on Instagram who's using the TikTok eyebrow filter, because I don't know. Maybe they're onto something. All the videos I watched, they look pretty good. Like
I
when
mean,
people do it properly.
Yeah, like I saw the video and I'm just, most people aren't watching this on YouTube, but here's my filter.
So
I don't
basically you would, as you're looking at yourself in the phone, like
uh-huh.
put a little dot where all the blue dots are, and then you would fill in your eyebrows.
What's hard is that where it says end, like to end your eyebrow, you can't really see it.
So that's probably because your eyebrow's too long on one side.
Okay, cool.
That's
So
what it's telling you. It's telling you you should get rid of some eyebrow.
Wow, I am not going to. I will fill
There's
in
someone
eyebrow.
There's someone on TikTok who shaved their eyebrows.
And
Not like fully. They looked good.
yeah, I'm not letting a
good.
TikTok filter determine my eyebrow shape.
You could test it out with some concealer though. You could like cover the area and see what you think.
Okay, maybe I'll try this out one day.
Yeah. Like for me, it said mine, like this one needs to go out a little farther.
Mm-hmm.
And this one needs to come in a little bit shorter.
Oh, you didn't send me your filter results.
I forgot to take a picture.
I'd like you to do that for me.
I will. So these are the things that I find when I'm, just like hooked up to a IV in bed for 6 hours a day. But Hank and I did go on 2 walks.
Oh, good.
Yeah. When I say walk, I mean we walked in circles around the floor, but it's fine.
17 equals 1 mile?
Yes, we did like 2 miles today because I ended up napping more than I anticipated I would. So yesterday I like had tons of energy. And then today I like did not have tons of energy.
Like your immune system is depleted.
Yeah. So like, tomorrow will probably be worse. Then the next day will probably be worse. And then I'll get really fucked up.
And then who knows what's going to happen.
Then who knows what will happen. It will be an adventure for all of us here.
It's so crazy to think like you only have one more step. You only have like one.
That's what I was saying. I'm like 2/3 of the way done with this process. And it's like a month ago, I didn't even know if I was going to do this.
I know. I honestly did not think you'd be in Boston. Like I really just didn't. It was just so wild being in Boston with you. Like
I know. We had such a nice time though.
Oh, we did. But I'll be back.
I know. You will be back. And the day you left, I was really sad.
I was really sad too.
Yeah, it sucked.
It was at this point Jordy's internet decided to fail. We now rejoin Grief Street.
While you were disconnected, I saw your mom posted on Instagram her fortune cookie. Did you see what it says?
No, I didn't look on Instagram today. Or like, I mean, I have today, but not recently.
Oh, it was 38 minutes ago. Your dad says business and health matters will improve around you. And then your mom says you will soon witness a miracle.
Those are good.
Those are really good.
Yeah, those are really good ones.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Like, I know like it's probably pretty common to get those, but I'm just gonna feel like it's a sign.
No, I've gotten some that like it says like you will be social. I'm like, thank you.
I got one that said never smell the inside of a hat.
I remember that.
Like, what
I've
does
also
that
gotten
mean?
blank ones.
You can't just like be watching TikToks while we're recording. Producer Hank.
Watch he'll cut that part out.
Yeah, that he'll cut out, but he won't cut out the actual shit we want him to take out.
Okay, we never talked about something in our previous intros that I was like, oh, wait, I feel like this is important. And that's when you left and your like last moments with Brody before you got on the plane.
Yeah. Was very surreal. So like leading up to it, I felt like I needed to do a lot of preparing him. Like you're going to be staying at Auntie Lala's house and you're going to be with Rory and mommy and daddy are going on a trip and it's going to be in Boston. We go on an airplane, just like kind of keep like dropping those things. So he knew it was coming. And then the morning that I left, I got him out of bed and we were sitting in the living room on the floor and he just said, "Hey, mommy, you going on a trip today?" I said, "Yeah, Brody, I'm going on a trip today." He goes, "You gonna come back?" I said, yeah, Brody, mommy always comes back. Always come back. And he said, okay. And then he just crawled into my lap and he hugged me and he said, I love you.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was very
Literally, when you
sweet.
sent
I
me
know.
that text, I started tearing up and like, oh my gosh, it got me so emotional.
I know. I was like, wow,
He gets it.
he gets it, you know, like, and it gave me comfort in that moment to be like, he's, yes, he's going to feel confused because his life is changing, but like, he has some context
Yeah.
and some understanding of what's happening. And I just felt good about that because I was so worried he's just going to be like, where's my mommy? Where's my mommy? But it's like, we've been really consistent all the way through of being like, mommy and daddy are on a trip in Boston and we went on an airplane. So basically every time I talk to him, he's like, mommy, are you on an airplane?
Yeah. And you're like, I'm off the airplane now.
Yeah. No, he still thinks I'm on though. So
Oh,
basically I'm just going to be on an airplane this whole time.
forever. Yeah. It's very
Yeah.
sweet. Like and I've seen him and and he said to Alex, like, mommy's on a trip. Like he fully gets it. But how has it been now? It's been like 3 weeks.
I know.
How is it being away from him?
I think I talked about this at some point, but after the surgery, I feel like it was necessary to like recover in a place where I could just fully focus on like feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I was at home like I was last time, I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to like chill. So this sort of forced me to chill. And so in that way it was good for like recovery. But then once I started to feel better, and then I'm like getting texts of like, and I love getting updates and pictures and stuff, but it's like many pictures of him with like you guys and pictures of him and my nephew and pictures of him and my parents and his bubby. And it just, I'm like, oh, like he's living like a full on life at home.
Yeah,
And I'm missing it.
for sure. I mean,
And
to be
that's
fair, you were well for like 4 days and then you went back in the hospital.
I know. So it's like I'm trying to find the balance of like, I feel like I was FaceTiming him morning and night originally, but then like he would get kind of dysregulated at night because he would get sad and he like wouldn't want to hang up the phone. So then I was like, okay, so maybe we just do the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes like he's not interested and that's totally fine.
Does it make you sad when he's not interested?
No, honestly, I'm like glad. Like I'm happy that he's like engrossed in whatever he's doing at home.
Sure.
You know, so sometimes like when he's staying at Alex's, she just like sets up the phone somewhere so that I can just watch him and Rory play.
That's so sweet.
So it's not like I'm just sitting there like having conversations with him. Like he's 2. So, you know, like he wants to have a conversation for like 5 seconds. Like last night he was having dinner at my parents' house and my mom has one of those cases on her phone where like you can keep your cards.
Oh, yeah.
Which is something you should probably get, Erica.
Oh, Ramsey told me that I have to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom had like all these different cards in there, like from like different doctors and whatever, and then like my business card and so he was like really into like taking them out and being like, this one's mommy's and this one's Zaidy's and this one's for Grammy. And then like he was like wanting to do that, not really pay attention to the phone. And I was just like, yeah, like I'll watch you do that. Like
That's totally
fine. I don't really care the attention piece.
Sure.
It's just
Which
more
is,
like,
I think is like hard for a 2-year-old. I mean, when I visited you in Boston, Emma asked about me for 2 days and then she just stopped. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know, probably like out of sight, out of mind a little bit.
I know. I did wake up this morning. Hank, was it this morning when I woke up and I was like, do you think Brody, what did I say?
First thing you told me.
What did I say?
Do you think Brody will be mad at me?
No, I didn't say, will he be mad at me? No, I said, will he still love me or something?
Oh, Jordy.
Yeah. I was like, do you think Brody will still love me?
Oh, Jordy.
When I get back?
Yeah.
I know.
What
And then
made
Hank's
you
like,
think
Jordy
that?
literally talked about you the whole time I was home.
Is it because he's having
I'm
fun?
like,
You think
okay.
like he's obsessed with you.
I know.
What
But
is
yeah,
it?
like there's just, you know, a part of me where it's just like, oh, like that's a long time, you know? But then like it's not really because he goes times without seeing his friends and people and he still knows and loves them.
Yeah, I think if like a dog can remember a person, then like your son, like he knows.
Like, right, it's not that I don't think he's gonna forget me, but it's just like, will it be different? You know?
I mean, things will be different because he will be different, but his love for you, I do not think will be different.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be different either. But yeah, I like woke up and I was just like, makes me sad.
Well, it's like you kind of want to like pause time in some ways of like where, like if you could only pause time, you get treatment and then you like resume the world, like that would be nice.
Right. But it's like everything just keeps going as it should. But yeah, like I got sent a picture of him at daycare and his hair looked a little bit unkempt.
Yeah.
And so we decided that it's time for a haircut. And it's like, he can't wait like 3 months to get it.
No.
Like, that's just not happening.
It's just funny because you were like, he's not getting a haircut. And then like a weekend, you're like, I think he needs a haircut.
So I don't want him to have like a big boy haircut. Like I don't feel ready for a big boy haircut.
Yeah.
But I think like
a trim.
A trim, like for sure.
A trim plus.
And he doesn't let us put it up anymore. So it's like he just keeps going like this, like trying to like swat it out of his face. And it's like summer and it's hot. And he didn't ask for the haircut, but I think like it's necessary.
Yeah, Mimi is going.
So Mimi, which is Erica's mom, is going to give Brody his haircut on Sunday. My mom will be there. Erica will be there. Ramsey will be there. Emma will be there. Ryan will be there.
And my mom was a hairstylist, so it's not like my mom is just like randomly giving him a haircut.
Just like a random person cutting his hair. No. And she honestly, she gave him his first ever trim when his hair was really straight and it just used to grow into his face like Emma's.
Right.
Like she gave him a trim. So
yeah, it
just only makes sense that she would give him his next haircut.
Yeah, we can FaceTime tomorrow unless you're like vomiting. So you can.
Oh, right. It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
I swear my sense of time is so warped. I feel like it's Tuesday and it's Saturday.
Wow. Okay, to be fair, yesterday you told me you thought it was Monday. So at least you're consistent.
But it was Friday. Like I kept being like, I don't know. I just kept thinking like, I have so long until my infusion. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's the weekend. Like, no, I don't.
You don't have like another week.
No, because I came in on a Thursday. So it just really threw me off. So yeah, just trying to make the best of it. The nursing staff has been amazing. The doctors are great. And I think I said this to Erica yesterday, but I think I'm a hopeful person in the sense that like, I'm gonna like continue to live my life and feel joy and like make the most of my time and whatever. But I don't really like think too much into the future because I just don't really know what will happen. And it's like I know some statistics and like those are not great. So I
feel like I know that you're going to be here for a really long time.
I know. And so I was saying on Friday or Thursday, the surgeon came by and he was talking to me, just checking in, seeing how I was doing, whatever. And, he's the surgeon for all of the clinical trial patients, but also he created like the molecule in the lab. So he's like the first author.
This is his jam. He's like
this is his project.
Like his life's work.
So he was basically just like, I don't get excited very often. It takes a lot to excite me, but I feel really excited for you. And
that's like the best.
Yeah. And he's just like, I feel really excited for you. Like you are the ideal candidate. This is like, you are the type of person we have been looking for to have this trial used for. And I was like, for the first time I was like, okay, like maybe I will be around for a minute. Like maybe a miracle will happen and it's not just like buying me little bits of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
maybe
since then, like you said, even the rest of the nursing staff also just have this like miracle energy.
They do. They have like real miracle energy. Like they just what?
Miracle energy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what
they
I
do have
call it. I call it
Yeah, they
miracle
have
energy.
miracle energy. And I feel
The
like
name of the podcast.
miracle energy. Yeah. Hank says it's the name of the podcast
Miracle energy.
episode. Miracle energy. Yeah, I feel like everyone who's come in here has just been like, you're tolerating, like they're all like, we would never know that like you had brain surgery. Like we would never know you have
Wow.
like anything.
I mean,
And
you
it's,
are
like,
the
I'm so
ideal
great-
patient.
Yeah, like I'm just well enough, and like I am in a position where I was able to do it, thank goodness. And yeah, like the stars just sort of aligned. And I think it was one of the first times where I was like, like, okay, maybe.
I like that pause that you had
Yeah.
to like consider that maybe you aren't the statistic of a poor prognosis.
Yeah. And I think I very much felt that energy at the beginning of my diagnosis.
Right.
And it was like everything was going so well. And then I think I hit the bump in the road where like I didn't get into the trial. And the trial was giving me like so much hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now I'm in this trial, and this trial like is only hope.
Right.
Like there's only like, even if it doesn't, even if it's not a miracle, like from what it's shown so far, it's the closest thing we have to like a real treatment for this.
I mean, yeah, people from around the world, they said like thousands of patients have been emailing in trying to get into this trial. And like it's on the news. There's so much hope. And like you are the ideal patient. And as my mom always
Right.
says, miracles happen. Why can't it be you?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm channeling Roz right now, and like everyone here is channeling Roz. Like they're just like, yes.
Miracle energy
And,
is like
and then one
everywhere.
of the nurses I talked to, she was saying like, yeah, you know, one of the glio patients that we treated with CAR T, like she's doing really well.
Wow.
And like, I obviously she can't give me like details about that,
Right.
but like, she was just like, yeah, like it's been really cool to be a part of.
Wow. That's like
And so, yeah, it just feels like I'm in the best place I can possibly be. So while I'm really sad to be away from home, to be away from Brody, to be away from my family and all of my friends, and just like the comfort of home, I know that this was the right choice.
And I think just like remembering that too, like when you're tired, annoyed, feeling like stuck is like, you're not just like doing this for funsies.
I know.
Like there's like a much bigger reason to why you're doing
Yeah.
this. And I think in like hour by hour can get like, it can be so easy to like lose track of the why.
Well, yeah, I'm just like, cool. So like I laid in bed today. I took a nap. I read some books. I watched a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like it's such a different life than like the life I was living at home, which is like
it's this,
fully
isn't, like,
caring
the
for another
life-
human being.
I know. And it's like not the life you're living. It's like
Temporary.
I know. You're in
I know,
treatment. It's like, I
and
think
I'm
it's
sure
hard.
that
Like
a
you
lot
think,
of people feel this way.
Oh, for sure. It's like you're getting treatment, but for you, it's like when you think about like, oh yeah, I'm doing a trial and getting treatment in the hospital, like you almost think that like every single minute you're getting treatment. But for you, it's like there's so much else. Is your arm heavy?
Oh no, I was just like moving it out of frame.
Okay, I saw I saw you lift it, and then I realized it's your left arm. And
Oh
you
yeah,
kinda,
no,
like,
it's
did
because
this.
it's because I'm holding the mic with my right arm, so I was just like my hand was like this, and I felt like it looked kind of awkward, so I moved my hand.
I'm symptom monitoring.
Yeah, you're
you
symptom
always.
spotting. Yeah, always.
Okay, wait. How is your arm heaviness?
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah, no like real change to the symptoms. They did say that when I get the injection, they will probably get worse in the first few days, and then it should get better. Yeah.
Why is that?
Essentially because like the cells are going to that area
Oh,
and like attacking whatever's
Fun,
left.
yeah.
So it's just like
there's more
potentially gonna, like,
energy.
be inflamed and irritated.
More things happening.
Yeah. So overall, so far so good. I will check back in as I go through the process.
I guess we'll see.
Erica and I have been taking little videos every day of like our feelings. So we'll compile them together so that you guys can take a listen to what our thoughts were each day that I was in the hospital.
I know it's funny we're doing this because I feel like my thoughts are so like inconsequential and like yours actually matter. So I don't know if we want to listen
that way at all.
Okay, well, I don't know if we want to listen. I mean, I think just yours.
What?
Like,
no, people are going to want to know how you're feeling too, because you're like my best friend, one of my support people.
I love you.
Yeah. It's hard. I love you too. It's hard to like, it's just really hard to support someone going through really hard shit.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you just want to make it better and you can't.
100%. I just want to like take all of this away and like get you out of the fucking hospital.
Yeah. So instead you just fly to Boston every couple weeks.
Yeah. And now I really want to get you onto a patio.
I know. Well, I'm going to have a really nice patio when I get back to my apartment that I can go sit on.
But you don't have one like...
Not like attached to my patio. I mean, to my apartment. But like there's like a nice like outdoor space.
Yeah. I want it like 2 steps away. Do you hear Ramsey over there?
I don't hear him at all.
Oh, okay. Because he's like hitting. He keeps like going like this. Like
with
hitting
what,
a spatula on a pot.
Oh. Does he like his Williams Sonoma gift?
It's on the car.
Okay.
He wants to maybe like exchange it, but he said
I figured.
Okay, he said the skewers are really nice.
Okay, so maybe exchange it, get some like skewers on their own, and then something else.
No, I think he's gonna keep it all, and then the spatula. Well, here's my random sidebar for the night.
Yeah,
is that I ordered a table, and did I ever say this on the podcast before?
No.
Okay, because if I did, this would be really weird to say it again. You've
never talked about this on the
about my table.
No.
I bought an outdoor table from West Elm, and like 2 weeks later, it rained and it got really moldy. And then we tried to exchange it or return it, and West Elm said no. And then we took pictures and appealed, and then they still said no. And then we went to a credit card, sent them pictures, sent the communication, and they're like, you won, here's the money back. We're like, great, now we can buy a new table. Get rid of this one because it is disgusting. And then I went to go buy Emma's birthday present, which was like an Elmo blanket. And it was from Pottery Barn. And then like an hour later, like the next day, they said, we can't go through with your transaction because there's a payment issue. And then I called them and they're like, you owe us all this money. I'm like, no, I don't.
From the table.
From the table. And then I learned that I am banned from ever purchasing from Pottery Barn, West Elm, and all the other companies until I give them their money back. So, Jordy, you helped me.
Yeah. So essentially, like, Erica's in the right. If a table gets moldy,
an outdoor table,
take it back. Yeah, like it's meant to be outdoors. Like it should be able to withstand rain.
Right.
So no, we're not going to pay you for the moldy table, but you're going to order through me.
Yeah. So it was Father's Day and Ramsey's birthday, and Williams Sonoma is also owned by West Elm.
Yes, that's how we got there. Yeah, Williams Sonoma is owned by the same company that owns West Elm and Pottery Barn.
I didn't realize that, so I bought him a Father's Day gift, and then a day later, they're like, "We cannot process your order." And then Jordy's like, "I got you," and then Jordy ordered it.
And I'm like, I'll just order all your things for you.
It's
just such
ridiculous.
a silly rule. I'm like, the fact that you like appealed it, they said no, then like the credit card company said yes, and then they're still like no. So you're forever
give
banned.
You the money if you give me a table.
Yeah, it's just like so crazy to me.
Yeah. Because
Yeah. Get it together, West Elm.
Get it together. Anyway, so that's that. Thanks, Jordy.
Of
Always.
course. Always here to lend a helping hand to a friend in need.
And then for this episode, I'll be doing an intro solo because we
haven't really decided which episode we're going to release. We have a couple that were pre-recorded, and so we just want to not rush the decision. And like, I'm going to be not well next week, so I won't be up for like, maybe I won't be up for filming an intro.
Right.
If I am, then maybe I'll join you. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll join.
Most likely not.
Well, when this comes out, when everyone is hearing this, you will have gotten your infusion like 6 days ago. So you actually should be feeling good when this goes out.
I should, but I will still be in the hospital.
Yep. You will still be in the hospital.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that we got to do
the people.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I really feel for the patients that like have to stay in the hospital for extended periods of time. It is very hard.
Yeah.
Like on your mind and just like on your body too, because you're like, you're not confined to the bed all day, but it's like there's only so much you can go do.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Because you can just like walk in circles. I remember when Emma was hospitalized for asthma, she was hooked up to a tube and could only go 3 feet away from the bed because the tube wasn't long enough. And so we couldn't like leave for 3 days. Like we couldn't actually leave our room at all.
No, that's crazy.
And I'm like, where's the frickin' patio? That's what I kept asking.
Yeah. That's nuts. If that happened to Brody,
oh,
I don't think we would have survived it. Like they would have had to find a longer cord.
Okay, to be fair, she was like so unwell that like
right. So she was just like laying
but
there.
But when she got better, it was really hard and like she was struggling. So Brody would not have been okay.
No, and like that kid would have wanted to bounce the second he got in there.
Yeah, I mean, you need longer cords. That's the thing. Yeah. So I mean, it's rough for people who've had long hospital stays. Like.
Yeah, I've only ever been in the hospital for like a day or two at a time. I
know.
So this is definitely.
And it's like Hank gets to leave and come back. But like you're here.
Yeah. So I napped while Hank left today.
We FaceTimed.
You know, we FaceTimed. I napped, read a book, just doing things to pass the time. But
I mean,
it's all temporary.
It's all temporary and you're like freaking killing it. Just so you know. Even though you feel like a couch potato, you're not.
No. I'm more in acceptance, I think, because I'm not sitting on the couch at the apartment.
Yeah.
Like being in the hospital, it's like, oh, okay, like I'm in the hospital. Like I'm not being lazy. I'm in the hospital.
Yeah, you're hospitalized.
Like, I'm hospitalized. I can't leave. But like sitting at on the couch at the apartment in Boston, I'm like, what am I doing?
It's like a different mental space.
It's just like a different mental space. I'm just like, I could like be doing this at my house. I couldn't and be in the trial, but in my mind,
in that moment,
it's hard for me to like really integrate those two things.
That's fair. Because like if you're in the hospital, like you couldn't be home. You'd have to just be in a hospital. So,
yep. So
perspective, it's all crazy. Can change a lot. It is.
Yeah, it's a lot of change at once. And I think that I'm doing as good as I possibly could be doing.
Yep.
And we'll just take it one day at a time.
Well, I love you. I can't wait to hear our updates at the end of the 2 weeks.
The internet went out, I think.
Okay. So what happened?
You.
Okay, love you. Bye.
And I'll see you soon.
Bye. All right, Hank.
Hi.
Hi, Hank. So today's guest is Lindsay Firestone, and she met Hank and Jordy a couple of months ago at a video recording for glioblastoma gala. And it was
actually a really hard interview for me to get through because Lindsay's husband died of glioblastoma. And when I was doing that interview, I was just like, I hope this is not our story. Like but she was young and she's really pretty. And there were just so many things where I was just hoping that this was not her story. And yet she feels really connected to you, Hank, because you both are spouses of someone who has been diagnosed with glioblastoma.
And also, we both have little children that we're raising. So this episode was recorded a pretty long time ago, at least a month ago. But the one thing that Lindsay and I can bond over is being a caregiver and also raising a newborn, newborn adjacent. And so, it's a really enlightening interview on, the types of challenges that not only people in her position face, but there's very many similarities that I'm facing or going to face. And they, editing the episode really enlightened me.
Was it hard
on
to
some
edit?
Of those things. No, it really wasn't. Just because of where I am right now. I'm literally in a hospital room watching my wife sleep. But I got, as much as I love the pod, I got some other things to kind of like keep my attention kind of diverted. So it wasn't really that hard to edit just because, and I will say this, Lindsay was so genuinely honest about her entire situation, and it took her a while to gain the clarity that she needed to the point where the pod to her, I don't know if you felt like it, but like the pod to her felt like almost like a sigh of relief on her part, like a huge exhale.
It was the first time she's really shared her story publicly, and I just really appreciate how transparent she was in the process of what it's like being a spouse of someone who's been diagnosed with GBM, and also how she's been able to live life without her husband in it. It's a really terrible, terrible situation. And Marc was clearly just such a wonderful human being. And I got to know him from the interview and also just felt really connected with Lindsay along the way. And she's really well spoken, and it's a really like tragic and beautiful story at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah.
All right. Here's Lindsay Firestone.
Lindsay, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
People say it's like, must be so hard to talk about, but I think when you talk about it so much for so many years, it's like really second nature. It's not like a happy subject, but it's something that like I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
Because it's so close to my heart.
Yeah.
And I learned so much about it over the years. So I don't know. I feel like when there's nothing you can really do, you feel so helpless. And then after the fact, now I'm like feeling empowered, trying to talk about it, spread awareness, like raise money. I don't know. It's more fulfilling than I could have imagined because it's tangible to some degree.
Yeah.
After like a period of time feeling very helpless.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. When Jordy was telling me that you were coming, I was like, wait, how old is she? And then it made me like so sad.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
how
And I
young.
have a son too. So like,
Yeah.
Jordy's story resonates in like, and obviously I'm not going through what you went through, but like Hank, for example,
Yeah.
I think you're the closest to it. And a lot of the time I notice with you, your attitude is so similar to Marc's. Marc was my husband, and sometimes the spouse actually handles it like worse. It's really, I don't know why that is, but it's like the patient is just like fighting so hard and just needs to have a positive attitude. Or I guess with you and Marc, I shouldn't speak to others, but it really made a difference because at home we tried to like just be really, I don't know, just believe and keep fighting and have hope. And yeah, I think it did make the journey a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing is really incredible because you're just giving information, like making people more aware. I felt very like alone in our experience. I don't
I'm
think
sure.
yeah, I just we didn't have anybody in the community. We actually would ask the doctor, like, is there anyone you can connect us
Wow.
with?
And
Yeah, but there's like HIPAA compliance. Like he would
that's
have
so
to.
terrible that like
Right, I'm like,
a
come
law
on.
that's
Yeah.
like to like help protect people's privacy like
Right.
can't like is now like prohibitive.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would always ask, like, is there anyone like us? Like any, like, you know, a young couple that we could talk to? It would have been so nice. And he would of course recommend, like groups like,
Okay.
like the hospital had.
Yeah, some of them are
groups.
like depressing.
Yeah, and there's also it's people at various stages,
Right.
and like there was a point in time where I was like, I'm not ready to be in a group
That's
with
right.
somebody who lost their spouse. Like
Of
I
course.
was simply not in the headspace. Like there was a very defining moment where I was like, this is what's gonna happen. But at the time when I just wanted a community, I didn't really want to be in a group with people at like either the end of the road or
You wanted someone who was, like, in
God forbid, on
step
the
with
other
you.
side. Yeah,
I feel like that's with parenthood and things in general, right? It's like we want someone who's like in our same position, like
Yeah.
for that shared experience.
yeah.
And like I think for in that scenario, seeing something that you didn't want that outcome, that would make sense. You wouldn't want to be in a group with
I didn't
them.
want to like
You don't
go
want that
there
outcome.
mentally.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that's just going to be so difficult to process. But yeah, it's like the same with kids. It's like, you want to be, talking to somebody at the same stage as you because you're like, have a shared experience and
Totally.
you are going through a similar thing. But, you know, it's becoming more and more common. And I just feel like I keep hearing stories. Actually, this morning, I got a text from someone and she said her best friend's husband was diagnosed with brain cancer and, you know, this was the prognosis and, can she talk to you? Like, I know it's hard, but like, and of course, yes, like a million times, yes, but I don't prefer that. I keep having these requests.
Right,
It's
you're like, I don't
so-
want this to be something
that is
we have to be talking about.
right.
I know.
And yeah, I like, of course I want to be there for this person, but I'm like, how is this not the first time that
I know.
this has happened
it's
to me?
so rare, and yet everywhere I go, because I can't
know.
shut up, I tell everyone my best friend has GBM, and then every time I say that, it's like, oh, I know someone who has GBM.
I know.
And it's like,
they're
it's supposed to
young.
be this rare thing. And it's like, is it?
Is it really that rare? And
I
like,
don't
how is
know.
there not a cure? And well, I mean, they're working on it. I believe that they're on the cutting edge of research, which is why like fundraising for me has felt like a really like realistic, tangible kind of like, you know, you're so close and like you can actually get there versus something that's like, it's just never going to happen. Like I really believe they're
I
on the
hope
cutting
so.
edge.
I know. I hope so too.
Yeah.
I hope so
Well,
too.
can you tell me a little bit about Marc? Because I don't know anything about him, and I'd love to hear
Sure.
like how you two met. And
Yeah. It's one of my all-time favorite subjects.
I remember you said that when I first met you. You're like, I was like, can you tell me about Marc? And you're like, yeah, he's my favorite subject to talk about.
Is that
And
what I
was-
said? I
You
love
did.
talking about Marc.
And it
I
was
talk
so
about him all the
sweet.
time. Honestly, I think it brings me joy to talk about, even though some people again would be like, it's probably so triggering, but it's not. It's like the happiest moments of my life were shared with him. We were together for 8 years, and married for 4. Well, just almost made it to 4. And, he was just like the life of the party, the happiest guy in the room. He had the best energy. He was the kindest soul, the most good-natured person. He just lit up every room he walked into. Like that was him. He was remembered by everyone he ever came into contact with. Like it sounds weird, but like a server at a restaurant, an Uber driver, like he just cared about everyone. Like he always asked, how is your day? How are your kids? Like our neighbors, they always say to me, your husband was so friendly. And I'm like, oh God, I'm like so not as friendly. Like I'm friendly and I'm social, but he just like went the extra mile to be like, how are you? He had, 1,000 people at his funeral. He was just so loved because he was so good. He was like such a good person. And it made me really question, like, how does this happen to such a good person?
Well, I'll tell you. So
I know. I was like, about this.
I
just
know.
reminded
So
me.
my brother-in-law's best friend is a neurosurgeon resident, and I was talking to him for like the first time in years at my brother-in-law's engagement party, and as I said, I don't shut up about Jordy. So I was like, okay, can you, like, my best friend has GBM, and like, what are your thoughts? And he's like, only the kindest, best people get GBM.
What, like, why
Isn't
is
that
that?
so messed
And then
up?
he said, if you want to ensure you don't get GBM, just be like a Nazi for a year. And
Just
then
be like, the worst.
I don't get it. It's
Yeah,
like
that's what he said.
literally you seem like honestly the
is.
like the brightest light, and that's
Aw.
exactly like I wish you guys had an opportunity to meet, because it's just like it was actually perplexing. Like,
Yeah.
how does this happen? And I actually sat with a rabbi and was like, please, and I don't know if I should be getting so spiritual, but like,
Oh, no.
I started to question how, if there is a God, how is that possible? If like God really does like puppeteer, what maybe he or she doesn't, but like,
Yeah.
how does this happen to such a good person? And
Yeah.
like, I wanted an explanation. Like, I was in a very raw stage trying to like look for the why answers to like
For sure.
how this happened to him, how this happened to my family. I was feeling so much pain for myself and for my son, and now I've been able to sort of take myself out of the equation and be like, I'm grateful to be alive and grateful to have another day and grateful to like get on a plane and go on a trip. And
Yeah.
at the time I just kept on being like, how is this happening to our family? Like,
Yeah.
this is
Well, it's hard to make sense and reason
yeah.
with things that aren't reasonable. It's not logical.
not logical, and
No,
you're looking for
there's
answers.
there's no reason why it happens. Like some diseases, it's like you have this thing, or it's in your family. Like, this is just a random, like, shitty occurrence.
Yeah.
Like,
And
there's
it's
no
so
rhyme
it's like
or
nothing
reason
you
for it.
did,
And
right?
it's
Like,
so
the
evil.
doctors kept
Yeah.
saying like it's nothing. I think Marc was even trying to be like, did I do anything to make this happen? Like, of course not.
Yeah.
But like, how does it make sense? And I still grapple with feelings of like anger. I think it's taken a lot of time to really get through the various emotions. And I think where I'm at now is just, I think so much more. Even I, of course, thought about Marc so much then, but now I feel like every day I just feel like it's not fair that he's like not here to live another day. Like, it's not my like, I am lucky and I went through hell and I lost the love of my life, but he deserved to be here, you know? And I think about that every single day.
Wow.
Like, he deserved to see the milestones, and like,
Yeah.
and I want to say, just because I should have said this up front, and I did say this to you when we were together the other day, but it's hard for me to talk so openly with you because my outcome wasn't favorable. But
I know.
as you and I discussed, like, I really do believe that everybody's situation is different. And I don't want to scare you. I don't want to like,
You're so
I
sweet.
think it's hard to be so
I know.
transparent when
Yeah.
I think so. Something
things
else too
just didn't
is-
work out for us, you know,
like-
the way that I had prayed
exactly. And she has like a scan today because her symptoms came back.
for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Today.
they're like, I have a scan this afternoon.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
I know.
I
And
remember
Erica was
those
like,
days.
Do we do this
Erica's
recording?
like, should we do this recording? I'm like, of course.
Jordy's like,
Wow.
I'm already thinking about.
Yeah, I was like, I'm already thinking of, like, when I'm sitting in the MRI machine,
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about all the worst case scenarios. You know what I mean?
You are.
Like, in my head, I'm just like, I know that there's a possibility that this could be bad, you know? And now I've had a couple of scans that have showed some change. And so it's
Yeah.
likely that there's some recurrence, and
Right.
we don't know for sure. But I was like, no, I would like so prefer to have a meaningful, lovely conversation with you and talk
Yeah.
about your husband. And like, that's the
Just keep
reality of
going
this
on.
disease, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't want it to keep me from like connecting with people.
And living your life.
I was like, for me, I think it's harder.
I know. I was like, Erica, do you
Yeah.
need to cancel?
I mean, the people closest
I know.
to
It's-
you, like, I think that's what I was saying before. There's like this fight in you that you're just like, I'm prepared to tackle whatever information comes my way. The people that love you I just don't have the same strength. I definitely didn't have the same strength as Marc had.
Yeah, and
He was-
and I'm like, are you really okay? Like,
I know,
how
she
are you in
keeps-
acceptance? How are you calm? Like,
She's saying like, I don't
panicking.
believe you're in acceptance. I'm not in acceptance. What do you mean?
no, I mean, you are very
she's
realistic, and it's
amazing.
amazing that
Yeah, I'm
you
like, I
prepare
don't-
yourself for all outcomes.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know how else to be, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not so much of a dreamer, so like I don't think that I would become one in this situation. I feel like if anything, it's grounded me more in what I can't control. And so then I'm just like left with what I can, which is like who I choose to spend time with and the doctors that I see and my treatment plans and having a good time. And beyond that, I'm like, whatever happens, happens.
Right. And just enjoying life. And I think not getting bogged down in the like, what if this, what if that?
Yeah.
Because I felt like I did that a lot. And
But I don't know how you couldn't. Like,
yeah.
as the person on the other side, and I say this all the time, people are probably annoyed with me saying this, but I'm always thinking about the people in my life, because if it was Erica who had GBM, I would be very unwell.
Right.
I would not be okay. I would feel extremely helpless. I would probably be like calling every doctor that I could think of in the country,
Right.
looking up every supplement.
Right.
Like all the
I want to
things.
send her to Austria.
Yeah, she wants to send me to Austria to like
I
do
looked
some
at
like
all that stuff too, like
sounds and
international
stuff. Yeah.
trials.
All sorts of things. And so, yeah, I just think about that all the time. Like, I think I have some resolve about it because it's happening to me. But if it was happening to someone I love, I think I'd be losing my shit.
I know.
Yeah, I
But,
feel like
like,
my heart racing right now.
I
It's like
know.
so terrible. And I just then look at you, I'm like, fuck, like it's so evil.
I know.
It
It
makes
is.
me so sad.
Going back to like your podcast being about grief, I think the concept of it really not discriminating is so true. Like, I think you just, unfortunately, nobody is protected from it. And I've learned this also because, like I was saying before, with somebody reaching out to me this morning to talk because their husband was diagnosed with brain cancer. I also, unfortunately, have had calls from other young women in the community who lost their spouse unrelated to brain cancer.
Right.
And I'm just thinking, wow, like, you're just this beautiful family, and their spouse may have, I don't know, just had a sudden, I don't know, brain bleed or something with their heart. And I'm thinking, how did this possibly happen?
Right.
Yeah.
And of course I want to be there for the person, but again, it goes back to grief. It's like grief comes in all different forms, and it really can impact any of us.
Sure.
None of us are safe from it. And it's
coming
tough.
for all of us at some point,
Yeah.
right? In some way, shape, or form. It may
Right.
not be the loss of a spouse or getting
same
sick,
level
but
of
it could
severity.
be anything. Like,
Right.
none of us are impervious to
Right.
grief. And
People
I
would
think-
always say that to me, like when I was going through stuff
Yeah.
with Marc, like one day you'll be able to return the favor for us because everyone's going to go through something. It may not be comparable.
Yeah.
But like the feeling of wanting to help others when you have been given so much love and support is a real thing.
That is totally, I totally agree with that.
How was it for him, like getting diagnosed? Like, how did he learn that he had GBM?
Yeah, we had just where we were at home, he said he didn't feel well. And he kind of looked really off. So I was like, I'll come sit and work beside you. Just keep an eye on you. And he had a grand mal seizure. It was like,
Wow.
I just looked at him, everything started looking off. And then I realized what was happening when he started to shake. And a grand mal seizure is so
That's so scary.
intense
So
and
scary.
so
You lose
extreme. He
consciousness.
lost consciousness and he wasn't breathing, and he was honestly blue. And I luckily had a cleaning lady at my house because I think in the moment, if I was alone, I would have, I don't know what I would have done, but she was a mother, and I think she had that like survival fight or flight in her because she immediately reacted. And it was my husband, so I was screaming.
Yeah.
And we had to administer CPR, which is actually what revived him. Like
Wow.
we had a paramedic on the phone walking us through how to do it properly. And I'll never forget, a couple days later, we're still in the hospital. All the doctors in white lab coats come in, and I was by myself. It was COVID. We couldn't have anyone else there. And they sat me down and said that the leading diagnosis was that he had a brain tumor. And I remember sort of like blacking out and was just like, tumor, does that mean cancer? Like, I think I asked that out loud. I had like texted my brother-in-law who lived really close to the hospital being like, come here now, just because I knew I was about to have a panic attack.
For sure. And you need someone to like gather information with you.
Yeah, and I couldn't manage it
And
all.
he
I mean,
wasn't really
literally
awake?
rushed over. No, Marc was not. No,
Wow.
it took him, I would say, like probably 4 days to really come to.
Wow.
And so we had to wait 2 weeks, I think it was, for the swelling to come down, and then he went in for his brain surgery, which was like I said, I think or 8-hour surgery. We talked to a bunch of different surgeons as well, and ended up with a fantastic doctor at UCLA. And after that, we thought we might get it all, and we got 75% of it, and the remaining 25% had to be treated with chemo and radiation. So he went into 10 months of chemo and radiation, and I made a party after, a huge fuck cancer party that was catered with drinks and all of our close friends, and was like, we got through this year and it's over. Like, thank God this terrible chapter of our life is done. And I said, you know, I want to wait a couple clean scans to get pregnant. And we had gone through IVF. And so we waited 2 clean scans to get pregnant, and we bought a house.
Wow.
And thought that it was all over. And when I was 8 weeks pregnant, the scan it showed signs that his tumors were growing. And off we were on the journey again to try something new.
What was that like being 8 weeks pregnant?
Yeah,
like
not
I feel like
great.
the juxtaposition of like growing life and
new
path towards
homeowner,
death.
like you're just like starting the next chapter of your life.
Yeah. I remember being on a walk with one of my girlfriends, and she was like, it's over. Like, we're closing the book on this just awful chapter of your life. And I had really struggled with getting pregnant prior to his diagnosis. So I had already actually gone through IVF, which was helpful because we already had embryos harvested. So there was that. And then the minute we were finished with IVF, this happened. So it was just a terrible chapter, and it was seemingly all over. And then even at that point, I believe I still had a lot of hope. I was nervous because the default treatment didn't work, and we had to try something new. But as Marc would always say to our doctor, there's a lot of other tools in the box, right? There's a lot of other tools. And eventually tool after tool after tool. And he kept saying that. And I would look at the doctor, and the doctor would look at me like, we're running out of tools in the box. Like, we've tried a lot. We tried a lot, like 3 kinds of chemo, 3 rounds of radiation. We did immunotherapy, an experimental drug, and we just didn't give up. But eventually, when things wouldn't work, nothing really was. We never had stability as long as we had the first 10 months. It was mostly like, if anything, 2 or 3 scans. Marc had a scan every month.
Did the tumor ever shrink? The 25% that was left?
Maybe like minimally, but it mostly was intact. But it was more about making sure there was no change.
Grow. Yeah.
But there was often, after a couple of scans, we'd see change. And the thing with Marc, which was a little bit harder to really process, having hope versus not having hope from the beginning, is that he didn't actually have a glioblastoma diagnosis. He was N of 1. That's what it was. They sent out, how they send out the God, no, I used to know all the terms. Like, I could talk about this.
You don't need to know them
you don't
anymore.
need to know that.
But he's like, they sent it out for,
the genetic
testing, and there was like 100,000, they tested against 100,000 other patients, and it came back with 0 matches. He was N of 1. So he had, let's say there was 12 features of a glioblastoma. He had like markers. He had like 9, let's say. And so we kind of like held on to that. Like, it's like, not a GBM.
Right. It could be a good thing for the outcome.
Right. And so what the doctor would always say is, which is why I always say everybody's unique, is he would say, look, this is N of 1. There's no one else. Like, it's the most unique. There's not a single match, meaning this could respond really well to one type of treatment.
Right.
And therefore, maybe this is a really good thing. Maybe this is, and he never really had, and maybe it would have been helpful, had we known, well, all the other tumors that look like yours acted this way, responded this way to this treatment, but we never had a prognosis ever.
Wow.
So until the end, when it was like.
And was that like because you guys didn't want one, or Marc didn't want one, or the doctor wasn't the type of doctor to give one?
He would have. I think Marc did not want a prognosis.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't want to live my life that way.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, he was like, I actually can't even really give one because I don't know enough about how this particular tumor is going to behave given how unique its features were. But then, as you go through multiple types of treatment and they don't work, they can give you a better sense of it. They're like, if things aren't working, you know we have fewer tools in the
Right.
toolbox. And yeah, did you ask for a prognosis or yours similar?
No, I said I didn't want one.
Yeah.
And then my doctor was like, that's good because I can't give you one.
Great.
He was
He's
like,
like, I can't tell.
Yeah, he's
the
like, I
future.
can't predict the future. And you're like one person. You shouldn't have gotten this to begin with. Like, I have no idea. We're just going to like do the standard thing and go one step at a time. And so that's what we've been doing up until this point.
I think like the being pregnant part too, like I'm just thinking when you were like about to give birth, so you were like 18 months in to his diagnosis.
So I had my son February of 2023. We were he was diagnosed April of 2021.
Okay.
So
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
So when your son was born, like where was Marc?
he came with me to the hospital. And where was he in treatment? He was, we were just receiving some news that he may need another round of radiation, I believe. And then when Jet was 2 weeks old to the day, 14 days, we had a scan and it was growing again.
Oh
And
my God. I like
that
have
was
chills.
that
I
was,
know.
it
2
was
weeks.
just after his bris, and Marc spoke at his bris.
Oh my
And
gosh.
everybody was feeling like hope.
Yeah.
Again, after months and months and months of nothing working. And I, at that point, really started to like visualize the realities of my circumstances, which was that I was going to raise my son without him, which was just a really, difficult,
like 14
tough
days
time.
postpartum. That's
Like you're
I
so
know.
unimaginable.
I know, but you know what? I don't even think when people say like the newborn stage is so hard, I always like feel like I can't even comment, because for me, it was like the joy of my life.
Yeah.
It was like my saving grace, like the blessing of all things, that like it didn't feel hard. It felt like an escape from something that was so hard.
Yeah.
But now like all my friends have babies and I'm like, God, being a newborn parent is so hard. And I like watch what they're doing.
But
it was
relative to what you were
Yes.
dealing with. I mean,
with Marc, it was
you're like, oh,
it was joyful.
right. Like this is a beautiful little baby with
my
so much
God.
ahead of them. Like
And a
so
piece
much
of
hope
Marc.
and
Yes.
a piece of Marc and just happiness.
Yeah. But it was a really tough time. Like, I'm not going to lie. I had a very, very rough period of life. Like my friends are like, I'm just coming back to myself, like I just didn't have any joy. Like I had the joy of my son, certainly. And like, he made me smile and I loved him so much. I never, thank God, experienced like sort of postpartum. I was so focused on Marc's health. And just so appreciative, I think, but also because it took me such a long time to get pregnant that he's all I wanted. But I went through a very, very dark period, grieving prior to Marc's.
It sounds like
passing.
in that scan,
Yeah.
when your son was 14 days old is really when like you were grieving, like the hope turned into grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say that, all the time. That was the moment where I lost, like I knew
Why do you feel
what
like it
was
was
going to
that
happen,
moment?
because the magic bullet didn't work, and it
work.
was the last thing. After that, we tried one more thing, but I didn't have hope. Like I didn't believe anymore. And I think Marc could maybe tell, and I tried to hide that from him because I wanted to be as strong as he was, but I just knew I had to prepare myself.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, how did you take care of yourself during that time?
I
Like,
didn't.
okay. So like you're a brand new mom. You just get this horrific news that like your silver bullet didn't work. And it sounds like you didn't necessarily want to share your lack of hope with Marc
Yeah.
because he still was holding on
Yeah.
to hope.
Yeah, I had to really lean on my community. I have the best group of friends, like, and it seems like you guys have that with each other. I always say like my friends are not just friends, they're family. And my family was incredible as well. My sibling, I have 2 siblings, one of whom is married, so I have 3. And my parents, they all live in Canada, and it was essentially like a relay. So one would come for 3 weeks and then pass the baton to the next, would come for 3 weeks or 4 weeks and then pass the baton to the next. So I was actually never alone, which was really helpful with my son, with myself, you know, cooking, cleaning,
And was that
support,
before Marc
lying in bed with
died?
me. Before, oh yeah, because Marc was declining and I was managing the baby and him, and it got to the point. It was in May where I couldn't manage them both. Marc was he was declining. It was really tough. This is the stuff that I find hard to talk about.
I want to hear. I want to hear what it was like for you.
Do you?
I do.
like this is like where I'm like
know,
I feel
I get it.
This
I feel like even Erica
I'm
was like,
You're like, I don't know if I want to know. This
No,
is the thing.
she's
I know
okay.
the realities
Yeah.
of like
it's
what this
so
can
hard
be.
though to share. I don't want you
know.
to think like it's so possible this is not like the path for everyone, you know. It's
Maybe. But I'm not like naive to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you saying it out loud doesn't.
It
Is
doesn't.
it new information?
It's not new information for me.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
the decline, I mean, the decline is something that's, I didn't really, you know, like I didn't really appreciate how it works and what it looks like. I mean, I don't know that it's the same for everyone, but with Marc, like I saw the beginning signs of it in April, but it was mostly things that only I could see because I had lived with him and I had been with him for 8 years, and like we were spending it every week a minute together. And then maybe like his parents or his siblings would catch on to little things too.
Were these more like physical or like cognitive?
More like executive function, like really just like completing a task or remembering like short-term memory stuff. Or
And do you think he knew at the time?
definitely not. Or if he would tell me, oh my gosh, you're just reading into things, like it's not, no, he was either in denial or
But he
really
didn't
just
know.
didn't realize it. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about brain cancer is it's your brain. So
know.
Yeah.
you don't really know like how conscious you are of like what is actually happening, or this
know.
person is of what is actually happening. But I knew that I was able to really assess what was going on. So the way that we were supported as a family is something that I don't even know how to repay people. Like I feel a constant desire to like give to the people that supported my family, because I took so much love and support. I didn't ever feel comfortable with it, but I needed it.
Yeah.
I needed company
It's like
primarily.
really beautiful, like how like everyone showed up for you and Marc, and I think that's like really speaks to
Who you guys are.
Oh my God. I thank you for saying that, but I can't even, Marc was so loved. And then my friends just, I don't know, they were in it. Like they were just in the trenches with us. I think they also had to recover from it after the fact. They talk about how it's like a permanent scar. They loved Marc, but just being at my house, seeing it the way they did, and a lot of, we ended up doing like a schedule of close friends to go see him in the hospital because we knew the window of connection was closing. But after 2 weeks in the rehab, they sent us home because there really weren't improvements.
And did he know at that point?
I don't think,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was he like
We
able
think
to
so.
speak and like talk to you
He
guys
could
at that
speak.
point?
He whispered mostly, but he
Okay.
could speak and talk, but he had very little short-term memory.
Got it. It's hard to see him like that because it's not the person that you,
Right.
like not the version of him that you know.
Oh my God. Well, not for a long time, but
Yeah.
it will be with me forever. Like forever. I'm
can't-
doing well in the sense that like I am managing and I am happy. I couldn't tell you I was again, I don't want to take that away from Jet because I was so happy to be a mom and I loved him so much and I had joyful moments like watching him, but I couldn't access any type of gratitude. I didn't feel like the way that I lost a lot of myself.
Yeah.
And the feeling of being able to watch myself come back
Yeah.
is nice. But I
what's
missed
helped?
myself. Like
Well,
I
and
didn't.
you're coming up on a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming up on a year was 10 months.
Wow.
Yeah. What's helped? I think grieving since, really grieving since he was diagnosed.
Yeah.
But over time, obviously but you're really grieving from your diagnosis with a terminal disease.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you really start your grieving process then.
Yeah.
So I think it's been it's different, like we were saying before, and maybe, you know, is there a benefit? It's all bad. But if somebody, God forbid, gets hit by a car, you're in shock. You're like, what your grief day one is that day, and your whole world is flipped upside down. I think for me, having years of grieving, I don't think you can ever prepare for this, but I think I started the process of healing shortly after Marc died, because I was like, I have to find a way to keep going, because I have a son.
Right, you had like something to show up for.
If I didn't, I don't even know where I'd be. Honestly, I don't think I'd be here talking so openly. But I had this child that needed me. Like the day Marc died, Jet woke up from his nap, and like it was 10 minutes after Marc died, I took his last breaths, and I heard my son crying, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm a mom still.
Right. Like I have to keep going.
Oh yeah. So I'm in therapy. I'm in a grief group. I really do lean on my friends. I talk when I need to talk. I'm really open. I think that helps.
Yeah.
I don't bottle up a lot. I really I'm comfortable sharing. I take care of myself again. So like I actually exercise, and just like I actually do things for myself, you know, whether it's just going and hanging out with a friend, or going to the doctor, or going to the dentist. Like I just actually do things that are beneficial for me and my like wellness. And I go out, I go to dinners. I like go do fun things. I even travel. I didn't have access to that part of myself for a really long time, and it's helped.
I'm curious too, like how your life has changed in terms of like being a parent, having like have had Marc as your husband, and now being like a single mom. I don't know if that's the term that you would use, but I'm just curious how that has been for you, identity shift wise.
Yeah, I feel like it's so unfortunate, because I just know that Marc would have been the best dad ever, and he loved Jet so much, but he couldn't really be the version of the dad that he would have been, because he was so sick. And I just know, like I've seen him with his nephews and nieces, he just would have been incredible. But because he couldn't really play that role, I've been doing a lot, like the solo parenting thing with, of course, help. Yeah. Like definitely have help. Definitely had help when Jet was a newborn. I'm not going to pretend I didn't at night to manage all of this.
Yeah, I don't know how you're one person.
Yeah. And so I'm sort of accustomed to doing the parenting independently with help from family, friends, or caregivers. But it is an adjustment to learn how to be alone, to be comfortable in the quiet. Like Jet goes to bed at 6:45 and I'm alone. And I don't, even when Marc was sick, we had like people in the house constantly. Like I told you, I was never alone until he died. And then after for 2 months, every single night, I didn't stay alone. And now I'm like, and I'm a person who just loves to be around other people. And if any of my friends are listening, they'd be like, I am an extrovert. I am energized from being around others.
That's who I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually not, I don't love being alone. And so, it's been okay. I think having my son is a blessing a million times, and I will keep Marc alive like forever. Yeah. For me and for him. Like we will tell stories till the end of time. Like we have actually the rabbi at Marc's funeral asked the audience, I guess you could say, which I told you was like really close to 1,000 people, including like a bunch on Zoom. Wow. And he said, like, can you send stories about Marc or pictures to this email address that we had set up for Jet? And I haven't been able to look through it yet. And I don't even know that I want to yet. I want to wait for like the right moment for myself, and then the right moment to share it with my son.
I love that idea though.
Yeah. And I actually don't even know everyone that's emailed the email. Like it's
isn't
like,
that so crazy? Like that he touched people that you don't even know.
Life is definitely different. I think there was life with Marc, which was the happiest. it was a storybook kind of romance. Like you could ask anyone. We were very expressive and very loving, and we just loved each other so much. And we traveled a lot, and we laughed a lot, and loved each other just so much, and cuddled and fell asleep cuddling. And then there was this just really dark chapter. And I'm really trying to work on going back to the like happy times, because it was really hard for me to even remember any of it.
I'm sure.
Which I think is so bad, because I want to remember those things.
I know. Well, it's hard because like it's such a stark difference.
Yeah.
Like when we started talking and how you were speaking about him to like his decline, it's like in my mind, it sounds like two different people.
Oh yeah.
And you were like in survival mode, and you were like trying to like keep a baby infant Jet alive and trying to keep your husband alive, and make sense that you couldn't like access those other memories.
Because I feel like accessing like all of the happy times, and you can tell me if this isn't accurate, but it's like to let yourself access that is to like acknowledge what's been lost.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's probably
that's
really
a good way of
hard to do, especially when you're in caregiving mode and like survival mode, but even after, you know.
Yeah. I think that's spot on. It's like it's hard because like I actually always say, why is it so difficult for me to look at pictures and videos from like the good times?
Yeah.
And it's because I see this zest for life on Marc's face, and this joy and happiness and this smile from ear to ear, and that's when I go back to that place of like, this is so unfair that he's not here. He deserved to go out to this restaurant. He deserved to go on this trip. He deserved to watch Jet meet that milestone. Like, and it's because I see this joyful person, and I'm like, this isn't fair. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so going back to that place is really tough, because those are the happy times. And like, eventually I'll get there, and I'm getting there. I think, as cliche as it is, time does make things more manageable.
Yeah.
And I believe that grief will be a part of me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I will have this with me forever, like becoming a widow at 34, and being a caregiver for a person you love more than anything is just it's first of all, that was a very humbling experience. Like I really learned now what's important.
Mm-hmm.
I think I realized like nothing matters but your health.
Yeah.
Really nothing else,
Yeah.
because if you don't have your health, like you don't have
anything.
So I think grief will be a part of me forever because of this life experience, but I think you can move forward with grief, and time helps with managing the feelings of grief.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that you have.
Yeah.
And then of course, looking at things like your children,
Right.
or what you do have to be grateful for once you're in a place where you can actually get there.
Which you can, that makes sense.
Like, it's hard to get there at a certain point. Like, you guys have had your journeys too, where you're like, how can I even feel grateful? People are like, why did you write a list of all the things you're grateful for?
You're like, screw
like,
you.
come
You're
on.
like, I actually can't even think of any, because I'm so
Yeah.
focused on the thing that I'm really just not grateful for.
Yeah.
But now I've been able to get there over time, and I just miss him. I miss him a lot. I miss him every day. And I always will.
Yeah.
But I also know what he would want for me, and I know he would want me to be happy. I know he told me at the end of his life that we never talked actually about like anything.
I was
going to
ask
dying.
you, because we talked a little bit about this when I saw you a few months back, but I wanted to know, like, what were some of the conversations that you guys did have, given that his illness was terminal, but that he was very hopeful, and that up until the end you were very hopeful too. I imagine it was probably hard to have those like dark, hard conversations, and I wonder what it was like having not had those, maybe, and having to deal with the aftermath of that.
Yeah. Instead of wording it the ways I had, like, if something doesn't happen, then so I just said, if there's one thing you want Jet to be, what is it? And he said, he thought to himself for a second, and he whispered, a good person. And then I said, if there's one thing you want me to be, what is it? And he again was quiet, and he just said alive. And I said, like, alive? And I thought, does he mean like not dead, or what does he mean? And he was like, alive. And he sort of looked at me in the eye, and I know he meant to live.
Yeah.
Just live my life and to keep going and keep having experiences and finding reasons to be joyful. And it gets to a certain point where you're like, this year I turned 35, and it was my last few birthdays were awful.
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago in the hospital, just learned of his diagnosis. The year after, we're deep in treatment, and the year, like, it was just all bad. And I remember this year on my birthday, I was just like, I just don't want another really bad year. I don't care about birthdays. Like, I don't care about the celebration of it. But I was just like,
Yeah, birthdays mean something different when someone close to you dies.
yeah, you're like,
it's like the passage of time, I feel like.
yeah. Well, it's a milestone, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the milestones.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm celebrating without that person.
Yep.
But this year I was like, I consciously just can't have another horrible year. Like, I want to move into this year with like a strength and like a feeling of embracing, positive experiences, happiness, joy, because like I miss it.
Yeah.
And does that make me a bad person? No, because like I just know that he would want it.
Well, it
Do you know
sounds
what
like
that
that's how
means?
he lived his life.
It is definitely how he
And like
lived.
you're just wanting to get back to that same level.
We lived it
Yeah,
together.
you guys
that
did
was
that
our
together.
life. Like, we had all of those.
Right. What do you like? What does that
joyful
mean to you to like
experiences.
have this year be like a year that's not filled with pain? Like, do you have ideas of what that would mean for you?
I think, I think being able to have fun and be happy without feeling guilty. Like, I even, last year following Marc's death, like if I felt any sort of joy, I felt immense guilt. I shouldn't be happy. I shouldn't be, out doing this. I don't want anyone to see me. I shouldn't be here. I'm not I'm grieving I'm at home crying all day. I don't even know why I'm out. But then I was like, I was moving into this year, and January was still really, really tough for me this year. And then February was Jet's birthday. He turned 1. There was a lot of complex feelings. Yeah, milestone. And May is our anniversary, and Marc's birthday and my birthday. And I just thought, okay, getting all of these milestones over with. And yeah, I just wanted to start enjoying things without those feelings of guilt, and maybe just being open-minded to like a next chapter where he's still with us, but he's not here physically. But maybe we talked about in my grief group last night, like the ways we intend to keep our person alive. And I love that term, because it's like, how does this person stay alive, like, in your life? And I have lots of ideas of that. Like, it's so important to do that. And the event that Jordy and I are doing together is one of the ways is raising money and like being
the tangible ways.
ways. Yeah. Or it's like, I'll keep telling him stories, and Marc has like 20 groomsmen who want to be like father figures to my son, and tell all the stories, that I don't even know, because a lot of his friendships and of course his siblings date back much further than me.
Yeah.
And so he deserves to know all of that. And I've saved sweatshirts and hats and things, pictures. Like, I mean, I have everything still, but I will hold on to a lot of this stuff. So yeah, keeping him alive is very, very, very important to me. No matter what happens in life.
Yeah. I mean, I so appreciate you sharing so much about him.
Yeah.
Sounds
like the best person.
Oh my God, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I got to meet him.
I wish you did too. And you honestly have such similar energy. Like, I watch your content, and I'm like, how does this person, like, and this is exactly how I felt with Marc. It's like the light that you have is like, people want to migrate towards that, and I'm the type of person that really loves to be around people with that kind of energy. It really like, I don't know, it affects me it's like being in the sun.
Yeah.
And I honestly find that you're like that. That's how Marc was, this radiance about him that you just want to be around.
Yeah, I want to be with her all the time.
You're the most positive energy, and you're going through something so hard.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
you're such
That's
a
so
fighter. Like,
sweet.
it's true.
It's so
It's
sweet.
how I feel when I'm in this. I love the sun. I hate winter. I don't like being cold.
Yeah.
And I find that there's people like that.
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
the
They just light
sun.
up a room.
Yeah.
It sounds like he was definitely
he
that.
was. And you are. And you are just doing so much good for this community.
Thank you.
It's true. Like, this is not, like, I wish I had this for a resource for myself and my family.
Like when
This
you were going
podcast,
through it,
this-
yeah.
watching your Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have lived on the page. I would have wanted to feel like I'm not so alone in this
Yeah.
experience as a young person.
Right.
Right.
Like, it's,
It
you
goes
hear
back to what you were
stories
saying,
with
like,
parents.
oh, if you go into a support group, it's like you're not really like in the same boat as the rest of the people. It's like
You
maybe
wanna
the
be
person's
insured.
older or their circumstances are different. It's like seeing a young person go through it is like
Yeah.
so different.
Right.
Well, you hold on to these little things. It's like, are you methylated? Are you unmethylated?
Yeah.
Are you this? Are you that?
I mean,
Right.
even with your skin, we're like,
God, I remember
the
that.
enhancement.
Yeah, the
and-
enhancement is like,
Right.
There was
you know,
no uptake of glucose activity.
yeah, like
but
just stupid.
Oh,
Like,
you know, huh? You're really listening.
This one is.
You're like one of my friends.
She's a researcher.
Detailed. Like,
Yeah.
she would research it. I didn't even research that
She would
much.
come to all of my appointments with like a list of
I
questions
do
to
have a
ask
PhD,
my doctor.
so
Oh,
I
wow.
am very research oriented.
Yes.
But yes, I did accompany
You go-
her to figure out like which trial.
Yeah, she was
and-
like literally asking the doctor, like, okay, and so what are the eligibility requirements for this trial, and like how soon are we going to get those? And
Wow. And does Hank go too? The three of you go?
Well,
or?
So it's when he allowed me.
he allowed
to
Erica
take
to
his
go to
position.
this one in position of him because I was only allowed to have one person. And
Oh, okay.
he's like, this seems really important to Erica, so like
Yeah.
I'll let her go.
Oh my God, no. And it's good that you do
Yeah.
that and you ask
Yeah.
all the questions. I mean, I was welcoming of questions like from the family. They'd be like, can you ask all of these different things? It was like a lot because I'd be like, okay. And I
Yeah.
have to write. But you know what? Why not ask?
Of
And why
course.
not get other opinions? And
The more information, the better when it comes to something like this, where
Yeah.
there's just not a lot out there. It's like the more you can gather, the better, I think.
Yeah.
But one thing you were talking about reminded me of what my supervisor, who actually we had on this podcast because she's like a grief expert.
Oh, wow.
She taught me when I was working with her. She would like draw a big like tangled ball of yarn and she would be like, that's grief. And then she would say, it doesn't get smaller. Everything around it just gets bigger.
right.
You know? And so it's like the
it's
the
like
grief
the,
doesn't.
the image. I don't know if you've
Yes,
seen
of
with the
the-
jars
yes.
and the cylinder,
Yeah.
the,
Exactly.
the ball and the jars.
Yeah.
That really resonates. It's the same,
Yeah,
idea.
like I'm just like, yeah, like you start to build a meaningful life around this really
Yeah.
sad, horrible experience, and like
Yeah.
that's how joy comes back
Right.
in. And it's not that it goes away, but it just
Yeah.
isn't taking up maybe as much space as it
Which
once did because your
you're
life
doing
becomes
now.
more full.
Yeah. And you're doing it now. Like you're actually, your jar is growing now or
Yeah.
the ball is shrinking. I forget if it's
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
image. But that's what you're like, this podcast for you.
Yeah,
and
oh,
I
for
feel
sure.
like-
I mean, I was just like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I can't just.
Yeah, and you're working,
sit.
aren't you?
I am, yeah. With this new set of news, I'm going to probably send my clients off somewhere because I want them to
Just
have
focus on
continuity
yours.
of care. And if I can't provide that, then yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
You're really impressive.
We're
I
gonna
mean,
still
to
do our
me.
podcast.
we're still going to do our podcast.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like, I mean,
and
having these conversations
it's-
is probably like
it's really
therapeutic
nice.
for
It
both of
is.
you
It's
to
very
like talk to other
healing.
people. And like, I obviously, I know I'm like the guest, but I'm so interested in your stories as well. And like, I like listening to the other episodes to, hear more. Cause like you end up sharing little bits and pieces
Yeah,
about
yeah.
yourself. And it's just nice to, like I'm happy I could share my story,
Yeah.
but I like learning about
Well, I've sitting
You
here and
guys.
listening to you. It's like I was so curious and like just wanted to learn more. And I know other people will listen to this, even if GBM. I mean, for Jordy, but even other people who aren't so close to GBM. It's like a love story of like
Yeah.
hearing about you and Marc, and it's just really beautiful and touching and tragic. And hearing how like you can
Tragic,
keep going forward in tragedy can be like healing because we all experience grief of some kind.
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, you
I was
go.
going to say, I think it kind of brings us to our last question, which
Yeah.
is, what would you like tell yourself or want yourself to know in like the deepest depths of your darkest moments of your grief?
I think I always remind my friends, like I would say, I remember being on the floor, like screaming and crying, saying, I will never be happy again. I can't even tell you the number of times I said that. I will never be happy again. And like, I think my happiness is always through the lens of grief. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like somebody in my grief group said that idea is like, you can move forward, but everything you see is through the lens of grief because you like went through this very tragic, very traumatic experience. And so even when you're feeling the most joyful, you still see it through the lens of grief. Yeah. Or, you know, let's say you are to, I don't know, have some great celebration, you're celebrating and you're there and or you find love and you whatever, but it's always still with that like lens of grief. Yeah. I'm here because this happened in my life. So even though, so what I would tell myself is you will be happy again. You will carry this grief with you forever, but the feelings can coexist. Like I that's not an original thought of mine, but grief and gratitude can coexist. Grief and happiness can coexist. Yeah. I can feel a certain way and it's like the most joyful feeling, but still have so much pain from my past. But I couldn't even acknowledge that before. Like when I was on the floor screaming and crying and not felt like there was no hope. But it happens over time. And when I talk to other girls, unfortunately, who have reached out to me to talk about how to recover from something like this, it doesn't feel like it's possible to do that. I say, like, it as cliche as it sounds, one of my friends said this to me, who I became very close with, a guy who lost his wife to breast cancer. And he would say, think of it like grief jail. You're in jail. You have to serve your time. Like you got to put in the time. You'll get out. It's not really ever gone, but like the worst of it, like you're serving your time and then you get out and it lives with you. But there's this feeling of like liberation where you're like, I'm okay. Yeah. Like I am okay. I don't know. But the beginning, you're just in the deepest, darkest, you're serving your time.
There's so many question marks of like what your life is going to look like and how you're going to be. And
oh my God, it's so crazy. Yeah.
So scary. But that's why I'm so glad you're here, because I feel like people will be listening to this who maybe are in the like throes of that really dark time. And they're like, oh, she was there once too.
Yeah, I hope so. God, that would be so nice. If I could influence people in a positive way like that, it would be great. Yeah.
Really quick though, before we go, I just wanted to, can you tell us a little bit about like the fundraising efforts you guys have been doing and like what you're doing with the Curland Fund and just sort of how you've been channeling your energy into these efforts?
Yeah, I'm really grateful to the Curland family for letting me sort of join in on the committee so we could raise money for the UCLA Brain Tumor Center. And so it felt like a really good way to channel my grief and, you know, affect change, hopefully. And so I ended up joining Tracy's family's organization. They do a golf tournament every year, since her father passed away, Stan Curland, who was an incredible man. I never met him, but the family has just done so much for the brain cancer communities. Prior to this year, they had raised, I believe the number is $4.6 million already. So almost $5 million this year. I believe we'll exceed that. You know, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's been really incredible to be a part of fundraising with such an incredible family, but also for a cause that is so close to my heart. Yeah. But the family they've dedicated themselves. And I believe prior to Stan passing, actually, I think he started raising money before, like as soon as he was diagnosed, was like, I want to affect change.
Like that's like you're going through brain cancer and then you're just like, and like, I don't know if this is going to benefit me, but like, I'm going to like make this my mission and like have my family like continue on this legacy of like trying to solve this massive problem that people don't have the answers to.
Right. You know, like he's like, I have the means, I'm going to
Yeah.
channel this all
Right.
into good. And I think he knew it probably wouldn't
Yeah.
help him, but it would help others. And that is like the most
I know, very
beautiful,
selfless.
just mission, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
And I hope to do the same. And I think that's part of my journey of keeping Marc alive for me, is to do this, to try and help others, to try and hopefully prevent young families or any age families. Like I don't even take away from other families, you know, where the person they lost is older, like a young parent, like
Yeah.
they should have lived much
Yeah,
more
of
life as well.
course.
I mean, it's more alarming when you hear of young kids, babies, God forbid,
Yeah.
Right.
you
It
know,
just feels out of
toddlers.
order.
It feels so out of order.
Yeah.
And think
Yeah.
about parents, you know, that are still living
Right.
and grieving. Certainly my family, my in-laws, and it's just out of order. Yeah.
But it seems like you're already doing that, because even beyond like being part of the committee for the organization that's raising funds for UCLA, you're getting in touch, like people are finding you to connect because
Yeah.
you're someone who's been through something hard, and there aren't a lot of people out there that are maybe willing
know.
to share
It's
in
like
that
the club
way.
nobody wants to be a part of.
Yeah, and like now you get to
Like, why are we
provide
all in
them.
this club?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so
it sucks.
stupid. It's the worst.
But it's good to be in the club if you are in it, because you can lean on each
Right,
other.
you
But
like-
nobody
Exactly.
really wants to be in it. You're like, well, how did we find ourselves?
right, like
here?
people will feel less alone because you're willing to like share your story
Totally
with them.
saying that. I mean,
Yeah.
and same for you guys, and with your own very unique experiences. But I'm
Yeah.
sure, you know, talking to people is not always the easiest, because it raises all these feelings from you, but it lives with you anyways. So
Yeah.
you might
Right.
as well.
Might as well just talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
Right?
always on your mind.
It's always on your mind. It's
And
just part of it.
I just think that's why I always just encourage people, like, just ask.
Yeah.
You know, like
Just reach out.
More likely than not, you're going to want to talk about Marc, and you're
Right.
going to want to talk about Shayla.
Yeah.
And I will want to talk about my brain cancer.
Yeah, you want. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
Why not?
Maybe.
Like,
You know, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like when someone's gone, it's like you're just like waiting for that person to be brought up.
yeah.
You know, because they're already in your mind.
So you got to know a little bit more about Lindsay and Marc and their son, Jet. We really appreciate you for listening along. And we don't have an outro like we normally do, because Jordy is recovering from her infusion, and the next couple of episodes might look a little bit different, but we're hoping to get Jordy on as much as possible as she's recovering. And I appreciate everyone.
It was at this point that Erica's internet decided to fail. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much for listening to Grief Street. We put out new episodes every Monday. If you'd like to support us, give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to find the video version of our episodes. Please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We would love to hear from you and get some feedback. If you'd like to contact us, please email griefstreetpodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 508-474-3378. That's 508-GRIEFST. Our theme song is Hepcat Jive, courtesy of purpleplanet.com. We'll see you next time.